kids and have them where they can see them, especially the federal.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if we don't know our history, we're doomed to repeat it.
Exactly.
I'm short. Okay. Thanks for coming, guys.
Doing
an awesome job.
Wes.
Thank you.
You know, I'm a positive guy, and I hate to dwell on the negative. You know how that is. And I just wondering if you might want to comment for the benefit of the crowd in the event that they may be surfing the net in the near future, if you might want to comment on one Bryce Taylor.
I'd rather not, because quite frankly, I want to tell you something. I have turned over some information that I got some physical documentation that she's put out, and I turned it over to the lawyer. I'm not going to take time away from what I'm doing. I've never sued anybody in my entire life, but I'm definitely considering stopping her permanently with a lawsuit because of defamation of character and a number of other things. I have hard proof. I have tape recordings. I have everything. This woman, her name is Sue Ford, and she lived in my home, and she was supposed to be getting information to write novels about that had nothing to do with anything other than mind control. In the first one on the cover, it says, "I escaped from mind control." Bingo. Gotcha. Just remember, you don't escape, you can't think. No, it's not mind control, it's called abuse. Okay, well, I don't get into that. I don't want any more. I really appreciate you asking me that, Wes.
I know.
It's probably the most sensitive thing on
You'll
earth.
kill me later.
But
I know.
I'm looking at it from a legal standpoint, and I can tell you, if it were not for the media problems that I'm having to endure right now, I had already written it up and turned it over to two of our lawyers, and I handed them what I've got, and they said, "Good Lord, this is nonsense, got to stop." And it's just one of those snotty little subjects that keeps resurfacing that I'm going to do something about. And I despise courts, but in this case, it's a cut and dried thing. The claims are not relevant to the truth, period, end of statement.
It's truth that makes us free, and any misinformation can actually further lock people who want to recover, can lock them into the compartmentalization even further. So it's actually been an extreme detriment to some people that really, truly want to survive and overcome the abuse that they've been through. Of course, Sue Ford's not the only one with misinformation. There's misinformation out there on so many, many topics. And it's so important that we all do our due diligence and research things further. When you know the components of mind control, what it really entails, then it's easy to see how books like that are misinformation, how people that speak without the truth behind them, it's easy to be able to discern that. But you yourself need to be armed with facts and do some research and look into things so that you'll be able to make some clear discernment for yourself.
Technology, according to Albert Einstein, is going to get us all. I mean, it's going to kill mankind off as we know it, if we don't control technology. Now, with all that being said, we got two more? That's
Thank
it?
you, guys.
Okay. Thanks, Wes.
I hope you're back next year.
Hope I have a new bat next year. Thanks, bro.
Yesterday, Mark, you talked about, during your address to us, you mentioned something about something that was in Australia. The biggest one was in Australia. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
South Africa, there was 5 or 6 or 7 places, and then you never said what it was.
It is the world's most secret base military installation that the United States has, and it's not in the United States. And lucky you, it's not in Canada. It is in the middle of a desert, in the middle, smack dab in the middle of Australia, in a place near Alice Springs.
Near Ayers Rock.
I'm sorry?
Near Ayers Rock. Alice Springs is near Ayers Rock.
Right, correct. And the Aboriginals have taken all of that. I'm glad for them. Bottom line is, this facility is known as Pine Gap. Right now on the net, they're circulating a lot of pictures they say were taken from Russian satellites and put up there. And this guy's making all these claims. The pictures are quite accurate, but they're 2 years old. Okay? Because they're in one of the pictures, it shows a crane building one of the antennas for tracking, actually, the shuttle, space shuttle. That's the benign stuff. The bad stuff is on top of what you see on top of the ground is just totally benign stuff. It's camouflage. It's what's underneath the ground. And Area 51 is where they want you to look in Nevada. Area 51 is a joke compared to what they got at what they call Area 52. And that isn't because there's no security in Area 51 anymore. They can't even fly a stealth fighter out of there without 10,000 people photographing it. I mean, it's the funniest. They late tours. If you've been to Las Vegas lately, there's just billboards, tours. Oh my God. I mean, it's awful. They have no security whatsoever. It's over. It's finished. Kaput. I think it's a gas. But they moved. These evil rascals moved all this stuff to the middle of Australia, and what they've got there has scared the bejeebers out of some of the most important scientists that I had the luxury of interviewing from my bed for a month. And these people were streaming in and scaring the living fire out of me with the most horrible stories I ever heard, and then showing me hard evidence, and I'm just wincing, like the psychiatrist that talked to me about Ward 1, and I'd heard about Ward 1. That was the ward that if anybody saw technologies that they weren't like they were a construction worker. I mean, there's huge, it's like the Earth's honeycombed underneath there. And there's several thousand people working in shifts down there. Well, if somebody were to accidentally see something, they went to Ward 1. And this psychiatrist, even though they were in charge of this little bitty mental health facility to take care of the people, they said that they weren't allowed to go into Ward 1. And I said, why? And they said, because those people's minds were literally erased in a matter of seconds. Okay? One man. This is a story that's absolute documented fact. Got the documents. Ta-da. One man, one time, one psychiatrist in charge of Ward 1, and I got testimony, I've got records, I got everything. He supposedly went berserk down in the bowels of this Pine Gap facility. He went berserk or did something stupid. I don't know what happened. But anyway, the psychiatrist didn't either, not really clearly, but they were told that he went berserk. And had a suffered a nervous breakdown. The United States sent, hear me? The United States sent from Hawaii a C-5A. A C-5A is, I guess, the largest aircraft on the face of this planet. Picked this one little bitty guy up. They flew in there. They did not take any other cargo out. They had nothing else in that airplane. I don't know what you all know about the cost of flying one of those things per hour, but it is more than most of us will have in a lifetime earned for a trip just to Australia from Honolulu, where this thing was stationed, to take one man out. I don't know who this guy was. They gave me enough information to where I will know, and it's going to go into a documentary. This is a very important piece of the puzzle. But I'm telling you, it is absolutely the most, it goes way beyond science fiction, what these people were telling me. And now these are well, one of them happened to be a rocket scientist. One of them happened to be a construction worker with the Department of Defense clearance, U.S. and Australian. who had retired, and his agreement was such that he could talk about certain things, but other things he couldn't talk about. So he was telling me about stuff he could talk about. There was a hole in his agreement, so to speak, kind of like there was with mine. Stuff he was telling me was kind of scary. Now, none of these people knew each other, okay? None of these psychiatrists knew each other. They knew of each other maybe professionally about something that some paper they'd had out. The military contractor. The military contractor was in fact very informative, and he confirmed more or less some technologies that I had heard about from extremely reliable sources, but that doesn't mean anything to me. I hear about stuff all the time. Unless I get a three-way, unless I see some proof, as far as I'm concerned, it's just rumors. But once I see that, and I see proof, it's not a rumor anymore, and I'll talk about it. Well, that's why I'm talking about this little piece right now. But what's happening in Pine Gap, and what's happening in a place just out of South Africa, and at what was going to happen at our Air Force base in the Philippines, it didn't, and may be happening at one of the U.S. Air Force military bases or naval bases, not sure, in Japan, is information that I've gotten more than 3 ways on from people who are accredited, okay? They're entitled, they were there, hard proof. And it is absolutely terrifying, the technologies that have been developed. I was completely overwhelmed. Why the bad guys haven't used it on us yet remains a total mystery to me. But when and if they do, they're going to get themselves too. I think that's the only reason it hasn't been used on a mass scale yet. But they can certainly use it on large areas of North America, large areas of South America, and by the way, you heard it right here, you're going to see something happen in the country of Colombia that is going to blow your mind very shortly. They're in total revolution down there, but why they're in total revolution is some things I'm hoping that these film people and other film people pick up on and actually get it out there. I'm going to turn this film company on to some people that are intelligence insiders that will provide them with everything they need to know, and all the hard proof and all the documentation and first-hand stuff from newspaper editors in Bogota, blah 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 blah, and we're hoping that the real news will get out there. But we got a lot of problems, folks. Next.
The last one, Mark.
All right, buddy.
Well, this has to do with.
That's the last, huh, Rick?
Well, yeah, you know, these questions are all related to what I want to talk about just for a second. Are you familiar a lot with the EMP weapons and EMP technology?
Yeah, I thought they were really scary until recently.
Until the stuff you just saw in
Oh,
Australia.
yeah,
right?
that's toys.
Yeah, I'm just going to make a comment. There are people like Eleanor White out of Hamilton and others like her, and as you know through the internet, we're meeting hundreds of people that are coming out of the closet saying they're being attacked by the quote-unquote CIA with these different weapons. Not really know what's going on, but they do know the effects that they're having on their mind and body. I just want to know if you could comment on that, Mark.
Yeah, I'll comment on it from, let's say 3.5, 4 years ago. I was hearing this, and huge. I mean, a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists were calling me and asking me, what is this? I don't know. Let's find out. Well, shielding from ELF waves is quite easy, actually. Reinforced concrete. Just find a building that's got maybe 4 or 5 floors parking level underground. Go down there and see if you hear it. Because if you still hear it, you got something else going on in your head. But some people have been targeted, and God knows how many, been targeted with weaponry that is not related to that. It's something else. But that's the rumor that the CIA is circulating around, and why, I don't know. This is silly stuff. the CIA spends a whole lot of time on disinformation, misinformation, just keep people confused, I guess. But what the stuff that Eleanor White's talking about, I'm familiar, and I'm also familiar that it is quite accurate in some cases, and it's really scary why they would target some of these people. But the first wave of these people that I saw, I only saw 2 that were credible out of about a dozen, and those 2 that were credible, we actually did get them in a test situation. That their doctors did, and their families did, and sure enough, they were being targeted. But they were being targeted with something else on their brainstem, and we found out why. You know, there's a reason for everything. And when somebody just out of the clear blue sky that has no history of any contact with the intelligence community or any history with government abuse or being involved, working for any kind of government, just for no reason at all, and hadn't seen anything, you know, a housewife or something, and all of a sudden they start making those kind of claims, you begin to wonder, you know, if it's not mass hysteria or something. Yeah, that's quite real, Rick, unfortunately. Now, for that last closing tidbit, I got some really good news for you. This is very serious. Within organizations like the United Nations, and I'm going to cite them, there have been a number of elites who have been working for a long, long time, for many, 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 many years, to get us into this one world government. I think this one world government is not going to make it. I believe that humanity may indeed take back control, but they'll turn it over again if we don't stay vigilant. Now, here's a good piece of news that I ran into. Within the United Nations, there are super secret organizations that were formerly, or they're chapters of active too. I can't tell you the names. I cannot do that. I can't blow their cover. But they are indeed being subversive, and they are tearing the United Nations, International Monetary Fund, every one of the organizations that are supporting this one world government global effort. They're tearing it to shreds from the inside. And the elitists at the top are absolutely panicked. Total panic. That's the reason one of the reasons they're trying to push Bush into place down south, and Cheney. Well, the rest of the world knows that Cheney is a, quote, warmonger. Remember, I hope I enunciated that right. Sorry, honey. But Cheney is recognized as a warmonger. So that's the reason that our story broke, is because we happened to be in the right place at the right time, not knowing anything, just trudging along, doing all of our seminars all over this planet, except for Europe, and we were planning to do some of those next year. And then all of a sudden, out of the clear blue sky, I'm approached by some organizations who I consider some of the most evil people on earth. I've been yakking about them for years. Now I can't say a word. They approached me and asked me if I wanted to be a member. I said, "You what?" I said, "Who are you?" And so they showed me. And then they showed me more. And then they showed me more. I said, one of us is gone completely mad. And they said, "You've said it 1,000 times." I said, "What?" They said, "No enemy is so dangerous as the one who stands right next to you." I said, "Are you telling me that you have infiltrated the UN? You've infiltrated some of the most elite organizations that most people associate with the Illuminati and another one of other super secret ancient organizations that are really, honest to God, real and out there?" And he said, "Yep." I said, "And you want me to be a member?" "Yep." I said, "No, I'll pass on this one. You guys keep up the good work." I said, No. I said, I said, if you're for real, I'm going to find out. Oh my God, I found out the guy was not only for real, but I found out that it's a huge movement and just nobody knows about it yet. And there are these, I mean, huge amounts of money. We're talking billions of dollars, US dollars, I'm writing it in, that are now being used against the upper elite. Don't relax your grip. Keep going at the pace you're going at.
It's time.
It's time. The turn of the tide is occurring, and this is going to be one of the most interesting periods in mankind's history, but it is also, I think, going to be one of the scariest. Now, if my dear friend sitting on this front row is going to give a nice prediction on this one, I'd love to hear it. But I ain't going to bet with you because I ain't going to bet against humanity. I don't know how the cards are going to fall, but I can tell you right now, the elite organizations and some of the most horribly corrupt ones that have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years are now turning around the other side. They're on our side because they're monsters eating them alive. And they found out that it's just a handful of people that are in control. And what they have planned for humanity is not even human. And I'm not suggesting these people are from another galaxy. I wish they were and it would just go back. But I wish they were some kind of lizards that we could open season on. But unfortunately, these are human beings with absolutely, totally devoid of any social conscience. And our job is real simple. All we got to do is bring those guys down through simple exposure of dissolving things like the National Security Act and some of these immoral treaties that we've got set up. And all of a sudden, I find out there are people that can do these things, and that's what they're working on. And so every one of us in this room is playing a very small part in a major change. And yes, unfortunately, this tent has not got 50,000 people in it. And I bet you there are places all over this planet that right now are playing some kind of sports where they got well in the 10,000s of spectators sitting there gaga over somebody carrying a piece of pigskin around. I'm sorry, I don't like organized sports. I just can't deal with the idea of wasting my time on that.
Let's overflow this tent next year. Let's keep talking. Let's keep spreading the word and make a difference.
God bless you all, and thank you.